So we're here in Montreal, and it was named the most innovative community in the world in 2016. Well, we're going to try to prove if that's the case by talking to some city officials and others. We're going to learn about the traffic and AI, but before we do anything, I'm going to meet with two of my journalist friends who know the real skinny, and that's Catherine and Maxime, and we're going to head inside right now. I land and it's snowing. I mean, this is part of what it's like to be in Montreal for like, what, 5 months of the year?
Well, yeah, this is actually the first major snowstorm this year, so welcome. I mean, it's all for you. It's a greeting gift.
What do you think of that designation they won? Intelligent Community Forum gave them the best, the most intelligent community in the world.
To have a smart city, you need to have the public sector, the academic sector, the private sector, all that. You need to give, and you need to give them tools, technological tools, and they need to use those tools to improve the city. And I think right now we are giving ourselves those tools.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like the city officials are committed to using tech, to promoting with incubators, working with recent grads to keep them from fleeing to, where would they go to? I guess
the U.S.
You don't want to go to the U.S. now, right? I mean, sorry, politically speaking.
We have 4 universities in Montreal, so it's a great student town is what it is. And there are more graduates actually coming out of Montreal than any other Canadian city. So it's a great city to be a student in, and so it's very young, very vibrant. People come here, they learn a lot, and then they leave. And so I think more and more we're trying to keep those people around once they're done studying.
Before we get another round, tell me your vision for tech.
There's a real grassroots movement here. People want to, the citizens want to get involved in the whole smart city movement and the whole tech movement.
So I was sure it would be just BS, but then I read
the wine is
no, but
I get it.
So my expectations were really low, really low. But when I read the plan, I was okay. It's not bad.
Yeah.
There's lots of nice thing going on there. Like the ideas are there. Will it will it translate well in the real world? That's another thing.
You need to come back next year.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have a busy travel schedule. Okay, another round.
All right.
Yeah, very good. I wanted to meet with Harut Chatillon, the guru for the city government's smart city effort, at a place that sort of showed off the geography of Montreal. So we picked the observation deck, Au Sommet Place Ville-Marie, and forgive me for my French, but this seemed like the right opportunity to compare the abstract with the concrete. Jump right into some of the mechanisms, the technology. We've been hearing a little bit about sensors on traffic lights, priority lanes for buses.
We're not only designing the city of today, we're designing the city of tomorrow. The objective is to have the 700 main intersections fully integrated and fully connected to a centralized decision center. And from that decision center, we will be able to track the lights, to manage the lights from the distance. Also have maybe dispatch sometimes if you have issues, security teams, if you have accidents or any other issues in the intersections. And most importantly, have this ability to have an overall view. 2 measures can improve ridership for public transit. So one is to have dedicated bus lanes. Second is you need to also have a technology measure in place to give buses a priority when you come to intersections. And by doing this, you improve, and it's a very conservative estimate, from 15 to 20% of the efficiency of the buses. Every project that we're doing has a technology and a communications component. Just recently, we signed to replace the close to 100,000 street lights across the city. And again, in that project, which is a $100 million project that will be done in 4 different phases, we have integrated the communications, the sensor, the management, all those components are integrated from the get-go. When we talk about data, sensors, and cameras, number one question that I ask is respect privacy. The citizens, when we made that announcement, it's normal. They ask me, are you going to use those cameras to look into our cars? Are you going to use those cameras to send us tickets for example, using the phone inside the car, which is illegal? The answer is no. These are mechanisms that are put in place to address a specific need, and the respect of the privacy of life and living of the citizens is always fully protected.
Part of what makes Montreal such a smart city is it has a big startup culture. We're coming to Notman House to meet with Beatrice Couture. She's the general manager of Innocité MTL, which is an incubator for startups.
We bring cities and startups, as well as big corporations, together around the smart cities. We are really interested in AI for using AI for smart city solutions, such as you know that in a smart city you have a lot of data. And this data is not easy to use for cities, right? And we strongly believe that AI will provide amazing solutions for cities to use this data correctly and to collect it more efficiently. When you work in the smart city environment, there's a lot of regulations that are evolving. There's a willingness to change the way they see cities and the kind of products they make available for citizens.
After talking to Beatrice about the incubator here at Notman House, I'm going off to find an AI startup. It's called Infra.ai. It's founded by Francois Maillet. They're working with the city on a pilot involving traffic.
It's like Google Street View, but updated weekly or even daily. So we equip the city's vehicles with our sensor packs that can stream us the data wirelessly. So a bunch of sensors like LiDAR scanners and cameras. And then we can index the physical world and make it searchable in real time like a database. So the city can answer questions like, give me the list of all the potholes that appeared on this street last week that are bigger than 10 centimeters, and we return this ranked list so they can, do the right work orders for their workers, or even what's the list of like cement structures that have moved or appear to have moved, so we can send engineers to investigate. So it's really providing intelligence to the physical world.
And the AI component of this is, in simple terms, going to be able to quickly sort data.
For you and I, if we look at a picture, it's pretty obvious what a pothole is. It's pretty obvious what a fire truck is, or a sick tree. We have an epidemic of sick trees in Montreal, and like humans can pick those up, but to the machine, it's not straightforward to do that. So we could show examples to the AI of sick trees, and then when you show new pictures of trees, the system can say this is sick, this is not sick.
The other startup we were told not to miss was Key2 Access. So I'm going to meet up with Sophia Lattis. She's the CEO.
Key2 Access is basically a startup that really aims to solve accessibility issues in public spaces. So our signature product is for intersections, and basically all it is a mobile app or a remote control that helps the visually and mobility impaired cross the street. So all they have to do is point and click in the direction they want to go, eliminating the physical barriers of a push button, which we all know can be, assumingly very difficult to get to if you are blind or mobility impaired. And the mobile app or the remote will guide alignment through the crosswalk using vibration in the phone, and will automate an auditory response if you are visually impaired and if you need it. We have a small little receiver that we integrate into any existing traffic system. It's a simple plug-in, open the pedestrian signal head, and then that interfaces with the user device of choice. So let's say the mobile app, for example. With Bluetooth connectivity, the receiver recognizes the phone, and the phone recognizes the receiver. What's unique about our technology, and it's actually patented in North America, is the directional capability. So understanding, I want to go this way. ideally our long-term vision is for all of this to be interconnected, and so it really will become the one platform for accessibility in a city. Whether you're crossing the street or you're going to school or you're at the hospital, you'll really be able to fully engage in your community and participate to your fullest.
After spending the day at Notman House, I can say that there's really a vibrant startup community in Montreal. I realized I want to talk to an expert in smart city technology. So I've arranged a meeting with Bettina Tratz-Ryan. She's the Gartner analyst who's been studying smart cities for a while. She's also consulting the city of Montreal on these topics.
Montreal is actually really strong in the execution of smart city, because there's one thing to say you want to build it, you have the technology, but in Montreal you really see the execution in application, in a service environment, in the Internet of Things, and also in the way they engage the innovators, the startup communities, the innovation cycles, and so on. In Montreal, you have a lot of data that you can build on. You have a good, smart infrastructure. And what you now enable innovators to do is take data and information, and you look at what does the city need? What are the citizens' requirements, especially here in the snow? And you really build apps around it. These sensor data, I want to build an application around snow removal, or I want to help people with aging demographics to navigate the city. You need to have an infrastructure environment that operates and manages the sensors for the maintenance, but you also need the data around it.
The sensors are underneath that snow.
Well, that is on the snow, but also on the light poles. So the interesting part is that you need to have a dual use, or an environment where you understand when you want to use the sensors and for what.
When people have this data publicly available, has Montreal dealt with the privacy issues well enough? Or, I mean, it sounds like they're in the midst of that.
I think Montreal has an interesting approach where they build the application so people can actually see what usefulness comes in as an overarching environment, but you really make the use case for why you want to give the city the data and what kind of benefit that people get from it. I think the next step now is to really look at how to get that citizen engagement going, where people actually becoming not just a crowdsourced partner, but really also actively collaborating with the city, so it becomes an engaged city as well.
After spending a week in Montreal, it's obvious it's a beautiful city where people like to work. There's a lot of city services for helping out in the snow. And it's really an interesting city from the perspective of technology. The smart tech community is very developed already, and it's got a great future with a lot of investment from the government and a lot of commitment by the government. There's a focus on AI. There's a focus on helping people with disabilities. There's a focus on fixing traffic and congestion. For a city that's 375 years old, Montreal has a bright future as a smart city. Okay.